In 1991, in Japan, Crisis Force was released for the Nintendo Famicom. It's a Konami game that wasn't released for any other systems that I'm aware of. And yeah, it's a 2D scrolling shooter that was pretty popular in Japan, but never translated to any other markets, and never made it off the Famicom system. So let's give it a review, shall we? Okay, you are looking at the two-player mode of Crisis Force, or, as I like to call it, Super Japanese Seizure Wars, which I personally feel is a much better name than Crisis Force. But that's just me. Now, you can play this game in the one-player mode, but I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're some type of sadomasochist, because this game is extremely challenging, and by extremely challenging, I mean it's bloody fucking hard. Now, right here, what you're looking at is one of the cooler features of the game when you're playing the two-player mode. In this game, it's possible to combine your two spaceships into one giant spaceship with some kind of mega shot, laser beam action going on. And I'm not quite sure how to do that. And I don't read Japanese, so I can't really decipher online or in the manual how to do that. I don't even have the manual, but if I did, I can't read Japanese anyway. I think it has something to do with collecting some power-ups. Both players collecting a certain number of power-ups, and then bumping into each other, and they form that giant, massive spaceship. And you both kind of control it. One person controls the movement of it and some of the shots, and the other person controls some of the secondary shots of it. And it's really kind of an awesome power-up. You could just annihilate things on the screen. Something else I'd like to mention about this game that makes it fairly unique for a 2D side-scroller is that while you're controlling your spaceship, one of your buttons controls your shooting, and your other button transforms your ship into, you have a choice of 3 different configurations. The first of your configurations is a concentrated forward shot. The second configuration is a forward shot with a slightly less powerful back shot, and the third configuration is a forward shot with 2 perpendicular side shots. And all 3 configurations are useful at various points in the game. And like in any good 2D scroller, there are power-ups galore all over the place in this game, giving you a chance to really upgrade your laser beams. If you're interested in the backstory of Crisis Force, it's not all that dissimilar from any other 2D futuristic scrolling shooter. The basic premise is this: it's the year 1990X, and robots invaded Tokyo. And your job is to clear the city of the robots. Plain, simple, classical game premise, and easy to enjoy, easy to follow. Nothing overly complicated. If you haven't noticed by now, the difficulty level of Crisis Force is cranked up pretty high. In the early 90s in Japan, this style gameplay was very popular, and there are a lot of skilled players in Japan that really took to this type of game. So most of the later releases, and this was a later release for the Famicom, really have all the stops pulled out for game difficulty. Because that was the mark at this point in time of a good side-scrolling or 2D top-down scrolling shooter in the Japanese market, was levels of difficulty. Although I really do enjoy this genre of game, I'm not the most adept at it. And I personally found Crisis Force a little too hard for me. But if you're a hardcore fan of the 2D scrolling shooters, then give it a try. It's definitely fun to play, despite its insane level of difficulty, at least in my opinion. On the technical aspects of this game, the graphics are pretty good. They're very crisp and clear, with a high level of detail. And the music's also pretty good for the game too. It really fits the mood. I would like to note, however, though, that this game does occasionally tend to slow down, and that's due to the huge, insane number of moving objects on the screen at one given time. And that's a processor limitation in the actual Famicom. Now, Famicom games are not exactly cheap outside of Japan, and I paid about $20 or $25 for this game, and it was almost on a whim. It was at the recommendation of the guy actually selling the game at a convention. And he said, "Oh, you like Gradius? You'll love this game." And at first I wasn't too thrilled, but it did grow on me and I do enjoy it. I'm Dommy from Classic Games Revisited. Until next time.